The first boss in Wuchang that I reckon will be a blocker for most people is Commander Honglan. She is absolutely relentless, really fast, loads of damage, and a phase 2 that makes her so evil. Therefore, I have decided to create a boss/build guide to help you wipe the floor with her. I've beaten her with every available weapon type before this point now, and specifically using the steam-powered spear seems to be the easiest and most importantly the most consistent way to beat her. So let's go through where to collect what you'll need for this build, along with how to execute it so that you can destroy Commander Honglan in less than 1 minute and carry on enjoying the rest of the game. Oh, and I should also note, you don't need to worry, this isn't a sign of things to come. The game actually gets quite a lot easier again after this boss until you get to the end game, at which point the difficulty really does start ramping up again, but I am coming out with an end game build guide soon to help you with that also. So let's get started by grabbing the spear you will need to pull off this build, and then I will also show you what to level up and what you want to spend your points on. But firstly, you buy the spear from the panda. And just in case you don't know where he is, start here at Light Zen Temple, and you want to head out through the archway towards the narrow stretch. Keep running down here along the tree trunk and just carry on up the first few stairs and then head right. Keep on going forwards until you get to these 3 enemies. Once you've either taken them out or just ignored them completely, you will come to some more stairs just to the left of a bridge. Head up the stairs, go along a little bit further and you'll see the entrance to a cave. In here you will see the storyteller if it's your first time here and you haven't already missed him. And if you want, you can speak to him and he will give you a bamboo shoot. You will need this to buy the spear. However, there's also a few more bamboozlings before you get here, so you should probably have one by now anyway. Then you just want to come up around to the right hand side, speak to the panda and buy the steam powered spear. Now, the reason we are going to be using this spear specifically is for its unique attack steam chain, which will allow you to spin an enemy around for infinite backstabs. It is so powerful for bosses like this. So now that you've got it, head to any shrine and we will have a look at what you want to respec your levels into. As you can see, I'm doing this at level 30, so ideally you will also be level 30 as well. More is obviously even better, and as you can also see, I have 35 red mercury essence to spend, because you also should have been exploring every area and killing every enemy, and when you kill elites, they will drop 1 red mercury essence. So I've got the 30 from my levels, plus another 5 from all the elites that I've killed. And you are just going to start by unlocking a load of nodes to the left until you get to this alteration node so that you can unlock that for an additional acupoint. Now, obviously, reallocate all of your healing flasks so you have as many charges as you can and also increase the potency. And now most of the rest of our points will go specifically into the spear tree. This emboldening spear skill is fantastic. It's going to mean that you can convert your bold heart stacks into skyborn might. By killing and fighting enemies, you increase your bold heart to a maximum of 10 stacks, and then you can convert all of them by using various different skills into 5 skyborn might, effectively giving you infinite skyborn might and allowing you to spam the steam chain. We're also going to grab this aerial bulwark variant so that you gain a bunch of additional bonus effects when you use it, and I'll explain exactly how that works when we move on to the rotation section of the video. Grab all of the other nodes you see me grabbing here, along with pumping all of your feathers into strong blades to get your spear up to +3. Now you want to get this strength node to unlock the next part of the skill tree and work your way down to the vitality. We're going to do the same thing here to get to the +5 agility, and then you also want to make your way over to the +5 endurance here. I'm just figuring out the best way to do that, and I actually decide to go from the very top for a bit of extra agility instead of taking Rock Plume, because that only activates above 90% madness, which we don't really want for this boss fight anyway. I'm now going to finish upgrading my spear to +4, and then I will put my final point into biding time in the one-handed sword tree. And as you should already know if you've watched my other videos, this is absolutely fantastic because it means you can passively build Skyborn Might just by holding your one-handed sword whilst you're out of combat. Now, before we talk about the actual strats that you need to kill her, let's take a look at Benediction Stones along with Tempering, Pendants, and Armour. Then I'll give you a rundown of the attacks that you want to be using to make this fight as easy as possible. This section is going to be much quicker. We are nearly done now. Just bear with me. There's a few different options for the Benediction Stones. We haven't unlocked the super powerful ones yet, so you can kind of just use your favorites. But what I reckon you should use, as long as you have these three, which you should do if you've been exploring everything correctly, is Oath, Boo, Skyborn Ward, so that your Skyborn Might reduces damage taken for a time because you'll be using a lot of Skyborn Might. Memory, She, Vitality Ward, so that you take less damage at full health. So that first hit is going to be a little bit less effective on you and you'll survive a little bit longer. And then Wisdom, Way, Skyborn Discipline, so that your Skyborn Might increases the potency of your discipline skills for a time, as that's pretty much all we will be using in this fight. Next up, your tempering is going to be very straightforward. You will most likely only have the Shadow Needle Strength and Agility unlocked at the moment anyway, so equip both of them along with your Flame Bone Needle, and that's it for the tempering. So now we'll quickly look at the Pendants and Armour before I talk you through your rotation, so you can practice on a few normal enemies before you put it into action. So at the moment, you won't have that many decent pendants. There are some incredible ones in the game, but they are much later on in the game. Therefore, the three I advise are the Gourd Pendant, so that if you are close to death, hopefully you can survive another attack before you can get your healing flask in. The Draco Lich Pendant, slightly reducing your damage taken and preventing beast roars from making you flinch. Obviously, the second part is pointless, but any damage reduction at all for this fight is great. And the absolute best one, the Twin Infant Pendant, increasing your stamina recovery speed. This pendant should be staying on for the entire playthrough as soon as you get it. It is so good. A few others that we specifically won't be using, and why, just in case you were curious. Obviously, she's not a large enemy, so that doesn't matter. The Luduan Pendant significantly increases your stamina cost. It's so inefficient. And though the Eagle Pendant is kind of worth it, the way we are using this spear means we are doing primarily slashing damage, surprisingly, instead of stabbing. It might be worth swapping out the Gourd for the Eagle Pendant if you want to. It's not a bad idea, but the rest of them are all terrible, and it's pretty self-explanatory as to why. And finally, before we get onto the strats for the fight, let's look at the armor. Really, all you care about is making sure your mitigations are as high as possible. Resistances don't matter in this fight because she doesn't do any status effects. She does a really good amount of slashing and blunt and stabbing attacks, depending on whether she is swiping, thrusting, or punching you. So all of your physical damages want to be as high as possible, and she does start to throw waves of water at you in phase 2. Not gonna lie, I have no idea what category that comes under. I can only assume that it's magic, but we are primarily going to be focusing on our physical mitigations, as that's where the majority of her damage comes from. So my recommendation is the Clerical Mask and then the rest of the Pirate armor set. These things you will absolutely have because one of them is from a boss and one of them is from progressing the story. Now, finally, thank you so much for sitting through that. Let's get into the meat of how you are going to kill her. Let's start off by looking at the weapon skill itself. That is what it looks like when you do the combo correctly. Let's just read it and explain. So, Steam Chain, this is primarily what we are going to be using. The spear swiftly divides into 3 segments, enabling a flurry of sweeping strikes to keep the enemy on their toes. Use with Skyborn Might to spin the enemy around. Some of the steam-powered spear's attacks may even lengthen the spear itself. And exactly as it advises there, L1, R2, R1. That's what you want to be pressing. On Xbox, obviously LB, RT, RB. The L1 is the steam chain itself. This is what's going to use to Skyborn Might. There's no point using it without your Skyborn Might. It won't do anything. And as long as she doesn't do a really awkwardly timed dodge in the middle of it, this is what is going to spin her around. And because of your charges of Bold Heart, your R2 will automatically be an instant charged heavy attack, which will instantaneously put her in backstab. Then the R1 will backstab her. That's exactly why we need them stacks of Bold Heart, and that's why we need Skyborn Might, because we can spin her around, we can instantly stagger her with the charged heavy attack, and then go straight into the backstab. Apart from that, the only 2 other things you need for this fight, you want to start off with a well-timed aerial bulwark, which is going to convert your Bold Heart charges into Skyborn Might. And obviously you want to be paying attention to dodging and building your Skyborn Might back up and surviving in case anything goes wrong. That is exactly why we're going to be doing some practicing on enemies first, to get used to using Aerial Bulwark to dodge out of the way of attacks, and to get used to the feeling of using the full Steam Chain combo. So a few more tips and pointers for you. You will only brace in the Aerial Bulwark stance instantly if you already have a charge of Skyborn Might. Otherwise, it can take quite a while to adopt the stance, which is why each time you fail, you want to go and kill just 1 or 2 enemies so you can build up that Skyborn Might and you can build up your stacks of Bold Heart. And that is also why we took biding time for the one-handed sword, so that you can keep your Skyborn Might topped up until you are ready to jump down into the boss arena. And also, as you are practicing on guards and other enemies around this castle, there are a few more powerful Ming guards in the full Ming armor. They're the ones you want to be practicing your Steam Chain on to make sure that you're comfortable with knowing how to spin enemies around and how to capitalize with the Obliterate, which is what this game calls a critical hit or a backstab. So as I say, just run around the castle, find some guards, use your Steam Chains on the more heavily armored Ming warriors. Get used to charging up that Aerial Bulwark, and if you didn't know, all you do is just release the button just as an attack is about to hit you, and that's how you trigger the fleetness and the counter attack from the brace position of the Aerial Bulwark. And when you put it all together, it should look a little something like this. Please do note, it's not foolproof. It took me maybe 5 or 6 attempts, which is significantly quicker than it took me with any other bloody build that I tried. She is a sod, and it is going to take some practice, but I promise you, once it all starts making sense, you know how to use the Aerial Bulwark to dodge her moves, you know to run away and heal up, and you can reliably pull off the Steam Chain, then you are going to make an absolute cakewalk of this fight. I believe in you. Just a bit of practice and a bit of perseverance. Trust me, this is going to be one of the easiest ways to get through this skill check. And then most of the rest of the game is going to be an absolute breeze. I believe in you, my friends. Let me know how you get on in the comments. Let me know if you can think of any improvements to this build or any better builds that are going to wreck her even quicker. And with that, my friends, all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.